And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They're open for sales and service every Monday through Saturday. And you can get a sneak peek of what they have to offer by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. It's where I've gone for over a decade to get my vehicles, and I suggest that you do the same. Head to Great Lakes Honda City for people that care and for a product that I respect and that I value greatly. You know, when you pick a car, you got to look for, first and foremost, you got to look at that price, right? Make sure the price is right, safety, and I would say safety first. Safety, price, the longevity of it, the style, the look. Great Lakes Honda City, awesome cars, awesome look, safe. It protected my life years ago, arguably. So, thanks to Great Lakes Honda City for the work that you do. And I look forward to everybody coming over and seeing you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York, to get your next ride today. Or your first ride ever. How about it? So with that being said, we're going to clear the board. And as we clear the board here, we are going to switch to the Captains on Call League. And with the Captains on Call League, it is now time for us to take a look at how this 12-team league drafted. The last one we had was a 14-team league. This is a 12-team league. So we'll go to our first overall pick is James, and I drafted for James. So we'll see how James does, but we will not be grading that out. So that, just so you know, he was the first pick, but because I drafted again, he was in Aruba celebrating his birthday. So we're going to go to the second pick, as I will not be grading myself. I'll tell you who I got for James, because just like I did with the other ones, I'll tell you who I got. So for James, with the number one overall pick in a 12-team league, I drafted for him, and this is not in any order. This is just who he has. Quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott. He is a Cowboy fan. Running backs, Bijan Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, Aaron Jones Sr., Austin Eckler, Trey Benson, Kareem Hunt. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman Jr., Jaden Reed, Mac Hollins, now the Patriots, and Cedric Tillman of the Browns. Tight ends, Travis Kelce and Jake Ferguson. Kicker, Jason Sanders of Miami. Texans defense is who James ended up with here in this draft. So, with that being said, we now move on. And it's always hard because, you want to draft somebody good for who you're drafting for, and at the same time, you want if your players are still out there, you want to make sure you're drafting good for them, but then not hurting yourself. So you got to take care of your plan that you have in place, while, still being respectful on their side and not drafting them a punter. So we'll go to Landon, who was our second pick here. We'll go to Landon. Now, Landon, taking a look at this, Paul and his son play Landon. And I love having the parent-child link up here. Becky and her daughter Carissa in the Gridiron Gurus League. We have John and Johnny in that league. And in the Captains on Call League, we have Paul and Landon, which I love having that because we are all about family here on Wake Up Call and with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. Saquon Barkley is who he took with the second overall pick because I gave James Bijan. So he took Saquon. He took Saquon. Then he took, at the bottom of the first round, he took Jaden Daniels, smart, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. So he went running back, quarterback, wide receiver. Love it. Then he took David Njoku. So he did the same thing Bill did in the other draft. He made sure he had a running back, a quarterback, a wide receiver, and a tight end in the first 4 rounds. The tight ends that were already gone by the time that Landon chose Just to give you some thoughts here, Brock Bowers was picked in the second round. George Kittle was picked at the early part of the third round. So when and then Sam Laporta was picked right 2 picks before he picked David Njoku. Just so you know. Then Travis Kelce I got for James right after Landon picked David Njoku. Then Landon went with DK Metcalf, like it. Jalen Waddle while you work. Tedero McMillan in round 7, I like it. J.K. Dobbins, we'll see with the Broncos. Round 8, though. Then he had Dalton Kincaid, tight end of the Bills, so smart here. Now, in the first 9 rounds, in the first half of the draft, he got his tight ends. Now, I will say, I'm not trying to get both of my tight ends necessarily in the first half of an 18-round draft. However, in Landon's case with David Njoku and Dalton Kincaid, got 2 good ones there. And he's also making the move that he made after a bunch of tight ends went off the board. Kyle Pitts was off the board. Dallas Goedert also came off. So, and Zach Ertz, Tyler Warren, all off the board at this time. Evan Engram, TJ Hawkinson, that was all after he drafted David Njoku. So I understand the move. Then he went with Packers quarterback Jordan Love to back up Jaden Daniels. And he got Jordan Love in round 10. I like it. Zach Charbonnet in 11. Then he got Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver for the Saints, in round 12. Then he went with Ray Davis, Dylan Sampson, okay. Najee Harris in round 15. Picked up a third quarterback at Bryce Young. Don't have to do that, but I can understand if you feel like that's the best available at the time when we're this late in the draft. And then Bills defense and Chris Boswell of the Steelers. So I like what Landon did. I'm going to give Landon an A. Give him a little A here. And I'm going to give him a little A minus. We're going to put a little minus there. So a little A minus above a B. We're going to give him a little A minus there. So let's go to our third overall pick, and that being Phil. Phil's been with me for a long time here. And Phil went with Jamar Chase with the third overall pick. I like it. Then he went with Chase Brown. So he did Chase and Chase. That's never been done in any of our drafts before. He went Jamar Chase, then Chase Brown. So you got 2 chases. We'll see if the league chases him this year. And both of the Bengals. So really unique. Round 3, he went with George Kittle. Round 4, he went with James Conner. Okay, so doesn't have a running back or a wide quarterback, in these first few rounds. Went with James Conner at the bottom of the 4th. In the 5th, Mike Evans, like it. Top part of the 5th. First quarterback he chose was round 6. He got Kyler Murray, like it. George Pickens of the 7th. Okay. I don't know if I would go to him at that time, but that one I probably disagree with. And then Keenan Allen of the Chargers. He likes Keenan Allen. I feel like he's drafted him before. He's a Niners fan. He got Ricky Pearsall, top 3 picks of the 9th round, so not bad. Jordan Mason there, round 10. Then he went with Tajay Spears at the top of round 11, and then he went with Brandon Ayuk, another Niner, in round 12 at the bottom part of that. Then he went with Tucker Kraft at tight end. So, looking at Phil's team, going with 2 tight ends, and he's got 3 Niners at this time that I'm going through this. So he goes 2 tight ends, but gets his second tight end in. I just want to make sure. So he got Tajay. So he gets his second tight end in round 13. Then he goes and drafts a third tight end in round 14. I don't know if I would do that, but he does get a third tight end there. And then he brings in Jets quarterback Justin Fields and the crew because you get team quarterback. Then Jalen Wright is his final skill player, running back for the Dolphins. Then he went with Brandon Aubrey, kicker for the Cowboys, and Eagles defense. So he did get some Homer Niner picks. And so Phil with the third overall pick, and he did take 2 tight ends. I'm going to give Phil a B. We're going to go B with Phil. Give him a solid B. Then that takes us to our captains on call, 4th overall pick. And that 4th overall pick, that belonged to Paul. So Paul, and like I said, Paul, him and his son Landon play in our league. So Landon had the 2nd pick, and Paul had the 4th overall pick. So as we take a look at this, Paul's first pick, which is the 4th overall, was Justin Jefferson, so I like it. Then he went with T. Higgins, so he got 2 wide receivers. Then he went with Jalen Hurts in round 3 at the early part of round 3. Okay. And then he went Sam Laporta. So he went wide receiver, quarterback, tight end. Or pardon me. Quarterback, tight end, Sam Laporta. So he didn't draft a running back until round 5, and he got David Montgomery. Still got a good one. Round 6, Garrett Wilson. So he goes to wide receiver again. Then he gets Isaiah Pacheco in round 7, the earlier part of that. Okay. Then he goes with Dallas Goedert, so he gets a backup tight end. And then he gets Khalil Shakir in round 9 in the end part of the first half of the draft. Then he went with Stephon Diggs of the Patriots at the bottom part of round 10. Okay. Then you got your backup quarterback in C.J. Stroud in round 11. Round 12, Ramondre Stevenson, great value there. Round 13, Christian Kirk, great value there. Ty Johnson of the Bills in 14, he is a Bills fan. Then he went with Rams quarterback Matt Stafford in round 15, which means that Paul put himself in a situation of having 3 quarterbacks, which I don't think you need. I know it gets enticing, but I don't think you need that. And then he went with Raheem Mostert of the Raiders in round 16 in the bottom part of that. Round 17, he went with Ravens defense. And then the final round, he went with Harrison Butker, the Chiefs kicker. So, all right. So, Paul, I'm also going to give Paul a B. Paul's going to get a B in this. So far, I've only given out anything C related, just so we all know, from the both leagues. So now captains on call, taking a look at this league that drafts in Central New York at the Wildcat Sports Pub, our exclusive home of Central New York fantasy football leagues. Let's go to Macaulay. Macaulay drafted 5th. He's been with us for a while. He got Puka when Malik Neighbors and Jahmyr Gibbs and Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, Christian McCaffrey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., all still on the board. Nico Collins still on the board. So I don't know if I fully agree with this one. And Puka's been hurt, but a healthy Puka and now no Cooper Kupp. Let's see. Does he get more targets? Does he catch more? Can he separate himself, and can he stay healthy? Those are all questions. So we shall see. Hopefully things go well for Puka Nacua in the Rams. Now Macaulay goes Devon Achane, running back of the Dolphins in round 2. Then he went Trey McBride, tight end in round 3. The first tight end that was chosen? No, Brock Bowers was the first tight end chosen right by the middle of round 2. Okay, so he chose the second tight end. He did that in round 3. A little early for me. There was multiple quarterbacks, multiple wide receivers, running backs chosen in between all of this. The next tight end wasn't chosen until the latter part of round 4 when Paul took Sam Laporta. So, yeah. So that was definitely early for Macaulay on the tight end here. But he did get Trey McBride. And then Macaulay went with Rashee Rice in round 4, a little bit early for what was still out there. Then Breece Hall in round 5, okay. Then he went with Tyler Warren, tight end of the Colts. So that means he's got 2 tight ends early on in this draft. So in round 3, he drafts a tight end. Then he drafts a tight end in round 6. So he's got 2 tight ends in the first 6 rounds. I wouldn't have done that. And then he got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Could end up being a good sleeper there. Running back for the Commanders round 7. I like that. Then he went with Tank Bigsby round 8. I like that pick as well. Emeka Ibuka, I like that pick in round 9 of the Bucks. Okay, so turn it on here. Then he got 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy in round 10. Then he went with Jaden Higgins, wide receiver of the Texans, in round 11. And then Jerome Ford in round 12. Okay, Wendell Robinson round 13, like that. And hopefully the ball can get out to him. Then he went with Titans quarterback Cam Ward. Then Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who used to be with the Titans, is now with the Dolphins at wide receiver. Then he went Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back of the Saints, in round 16. I don't hate it. Vikings defense. And then he went with Tyler Loop, kicker of the Ravens. So if we go back and we look at McCauley here, McCauley went out and got his tight ends early, and then he waited on getting his quarterback. He did not get his first quarterback until round 10, and he got Brock Purdy. So, Brock Purdy in round 10, and then he went and got Cam Ward. Okay. All right. So he got value late in the draft at quarterback, and I think he turned on later in the draft as well. So, McCauley, I feel good about giving you the grade that I'm about to give you here. So, McCauley, let me make sure that there we go. So, McCauley, I'm going to give you a B+. McCauley gets a B+ in this draft for this year, for 2025. Not bad on McCauley's part here. Now we're going to go to our 6th pick of this draft, and pick number 6 went to Nicholas, who's been with me for many years. He went Malik Neighbors. He's a Cowboys fan, but he drafted a bunch of Giants. He went Malik Neighbors. Then Nick went Bucky Irving. Okay. And he's in the middle here. Then he got Lamar Jackson in the middle of the 3rd round. Love it. Then he got Alvin Kamara in round 4 in the middle. I love that too. TJ Hawkinson, his first tight end, he gets in the middle of round 5. Smart. Good play. Travis Hunter. 3 players in one, arguably. Offense, defense, and special teams potentially. So round 6. I like it. A little bit early as far as who was on the board. Maybe I would have waited till round 7. Could have probably gotten him there. Tyrone Tracy Jr., he gets another Giant there in round 7. Running back, but could be a wide receiver-ish or hybrid guy. Then you got Deebo Samuel in round 8. I like that. He went for a lot of NFC East guys. Quinshon Judkins, middle of round 9 at running back for the Browns. I like that. Could end up being the main guy, so there we go. And then he went Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy in round 10. So when you look at Nick and how he drafted here through the first 9 rounds, he did not, after getting Lamar Jackson, right, he waited. So in those first 9 rounds, he gets Lamar Jackson in the middle of round 3, which I love. And then he goes and gets J.J. McCarthy, round 10. Perfect. Good with it. And then he went and got Jordan Addison of the Vikings for J.J. to throw to. I like that. Round 12, he went with Rachaad White. Great value. Cade Otton, tight end of the Bucks. Backup tight end in round 13. Perfect. Love it. He's a starter. And then you got Adam Thielen, round 14. Can't hate on that. Wide receiver out of the Panthers at that place. DJ Giddens, running back of the Colts in round 15. Backup guy. Could see some time. And then you got Mooney, wide receiver of the Falcons in round 16. So you got great value in this draft. And then Steelers, defense and special teams. And then he went with Chase McLaughlin for the Bucks. So, Nick, don't fall out of your chair. I appreciate you, sir. Nicholas here. I am going to give Nick in his draft, I'm going to give him an A-. I like it, Nick. Respect. I'm going to give Nick an A-. So that brings me to the 7th pick that we had in this Captains on Call League, as I'm giving my draft grades that we do every year in the Wake Up Call Fantasy Football Leagues. It also lets you know, right, because I'm naming off players that you may be drafting, you may be thinking of. So it lets you know kind of how I'm grading out these things as well. So as I'm breaking it down for people you may not know, I'm also breaking it down for you in a way. So Curtis had the 7th pick of the draft, and he went with Jahmyr Gibbs right off the jump here. And so I like that from Curtis. So let's bring up Curtis here. So Curtis went with Jahmyr Gibbs, okay. Then Curtis with the 8th overall pick, 7th overall pick. Then he went CeeDee Lamb. Then he went Drake London in round 3. Kyron Williams in round 4, I love it. Curtis went Kenneth Walker the 3rd, round 5, love that too. Round 6, he went Devontae Adams. All right, probably a little high for the other guys that were still available. Then he went Cortland Sutton in round 7, good value. Kyle Pitts in round 8, value. First tight end he took. And yeah, so when you look at, because that's what you want to be able to do, right? You want to be able to get a bunch of your wide receivers and your running backs and potentially get a quarterback in, the first 7, 8 rounds, and then address your tight end, which he addressed in round 8 for Kyle Pitts. Then he went with his quarterback, Baker Mayfield, in round 9. And then we saw him go round 10, Javonte Williams, running back of the Cowboys, used to be of the Broncos, and before that covered what he was doing with the Tar Heels in college. And when they leaned on him and Michael Carter in that road game during the COVID season for Syracuse, that's how they won. Sam Howell wasn't doing anything at quarterback. I think he had 60 yards at halftime passing, and then they went to Javonte Williams and Michael Carter and took care of the Syracuse Orange with the Tar Heels hosting them. So after that, let's see here. Curtis went in round 11. He went to Joe Mixon, all right. Then he went to Rashad Bateman in round 12. I like it. Could get some good value there. Gets another quarterback in Tua in round 13, which I love. Brenton Strange, tight end of the Jaguars, round 14. Okay. And then Curtis went Chris Rodriguez. So if you look at Curtis's draft here, I just want to go back to something here. So Curtis did get Javonte. He got the Bucks. Okay, so Curtis, I just want to make sure I didn't miss somebody here. So he's got a couple quarterbacks, weighted on them. Got 2 tight ends, weighted. I like it. Chris Rodriguez Jr., he's a Commanders fan, so he took Chris Rodriguez, the running back there. And then he got Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver of the Raiders. A lot of people having hopes for the Raiders and what they can do with their receiving core. And then you have Jake Bates, kicker for the Lions, and Commanders defense. All right, so I like the value. I like when he got certain players. So Curtis, you're gonna get an A- from me because I like what you got and I like when you got it. So that's how we're gonna give you our grade here. Give you a little A-. And then that brings me to the 8th overall pick, and that 8th overall pick went to Pete. So shout out to Pete Green, much love. Who did he get? He didn't wait on it because he was like, I'm not going to let anybody take him. He took the first quarterback off the board. Our draft for Captains on Call in 2025 went running back, wide receiver, running back, quarterback when Pete took Josh Allen as a Bills fan. Then he took Brock Bowers. I like that pick in the 2nd round. Then Pete took Terry McLaurin, loving it. James Cook, round 4, okay. Rocking and rolling. Zay Flowers. Then he got R.J. Harvey in round 6, who I think is going to potentially be the starter there for the Broncos. I hope he will be. Drafted him in the other draft. Keon Coleman, another Bill, round 7. And then looking at Pete's team, he got Josh Allen, James Cook, and Keon Coleman all within the first 7 rounds as a Bills fan. Round 8, DJ Moore, wide receiver of the Bears. Then he got Xavier Legette, wide receiver in round 9 of the Panthers. 10, he got Freiermuth, so he got his backup tight end. 11, he got Hunter Henry, so he took a 3rd tight end. He took those back-to-back. I don't know if I would do that. Then he got Drake May, who I drafted Michael Penix Jr., a pick before him in this draft, and my other thought was if I don't draft Michael Penix, I'm going to draft Drake May. He was literally thinking of Michael Penix and Drake May the same. He had Penix 1, then May. I had Penix 1, then May. And so he drafted Drake May right after I drafted Penix here in round 12 as his backup quarterback. And then Pete went with Tyler Algier, running back of the Falcons, round 13. I like the value. Justice Hill liked the value in round 14 at running back for the Ravens. Then he got a 3rd quarterback, the Raiders team quarterback, Right now it's Geno Smith. Kenny Pickett just got traded over there from the Browns, so we'll see. And then Rashawn Johnson of the Bears, round 16, final skill player. Broncos defense, I like. Tyler Bass, kicker for the Bills. So he got 4 Bills. He did get 3 tight ends, speaking of Pete here. So Pete's draft grade for having the 8th overall pick in a 12-team league. Pete, I'm gonna give him a B+. He's gonna get a little B+ right there. And so now we go to pick number 9, and pick number 9, I believe, was that was my pick. So with pick number 9, that being me, we're gonna move on because, like I said, I do not grade myself. I don't think it's fair to do that. I mean, I would be fair. I'd tell you where I'm right and tell you where I'm wrong, but I'm not going to grade myself. Charlie, new to the league. Shout out to Charlie, and thank you for watching the show. Appreciate you. That's how he got to know us. So thank you for watching and listening and supporting, and happy to have you. He drafted Ashton Genske in the first round with the 3rd to last pick. Then he went A.J. Brown, so I like those. Calvin Ridley, that was early. Lions quarterback Jared Goff. There was other guys that were still out there. So let me tell you the quarterbacks that were off the board. Bills, Commanders, Bengals, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. And, and also the Broncos. So, okay, I can understand the Goff thing to get him in round 4. I can understand that. There was other guys I would have gotten skill-wise, but, because like I said, other guys waited to take their quarterback later on here. I probably would have waited. I wouldn't have gone for Jared Goff there. Tony Pollard, again, I think there's other guys I would have gotten. Zach Ertz, tight end, I think there was other guys I would have gotten there. Will Shipley, that was early for Ship in round 7. Then Matthew Golden, I think there was other guys to get there before Golden. Jaguars quarterback as a backup in round 9. Could have waited on Trevor Lawrence probably. And then Elijah Arroyo, there was other tight ends to get. That was his backup. Byashel Tutin, running back of the Jaguars in round 11. Probably could have waited a little bit. Marvin Mims Jr., I like this pick, wide receiver of the Broncos in round 12. Braylon Allen, running back of the Jets, backup there to Breece Hall. Could see some action, so I like that. Darius Slayton, wide receiver for the Giants in round 14. Okay. And then we got Kyle Juszczyk, fullback of the Niners, chosen in both of our CNY leagues here at the Wildcat for Wake Up Call Fantasy Football. He got a 3rd quarterback in Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. I probably wouldn't have done that. And then he got Lions defense, okay, and he got Jake Elliott at kicker. So I'm gonna, for Charlie here, I'm gonna give him a C. C for Charlie. So I'm gonna have to give him a C on this just because of who was available and who he drafted at the time and maybe the timing of some stuff. The 11th pick went to Zach, Christian McCaffrey. Then he went Brian Thomas Jr. at the top of the second round, at the second pick of the second round. Then Ladd McConkey, I love that at the end of the 3rd round. Josh Jacobs, loving the draft here. Travion Henderson, Xavier Worthy, Jamison Williams. We get to round 8. He gets Caleb Johnson, running back of the Steelers. Question mark there. Cam Scadaboo, I like that in round 9. Then he gets Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. So when you look at his draft, he waited all the way down to round 9 and still got Justin Herbert. Round 10 and got Justin Herbert. So that was the 2nd pick after we came back from the break. We have 18 rounds in the Wake Up Call Fantasy Football Leagues. First 9, take a break, 10 through 18. So in the 2nd pick of when we came out of our halftime, essentially, that's when he got his first quarterback, and he got Herbert, one of the best balls in the NFL that you'll see thrown. I mean, that's Zach, very smart. Colston Loveland, tight end of the Bears, gets him in round 11. Okay. Then he gets Bears quarterback Caleb Williams right after that to have that tandem. Demario Douglas toward the bottom of the 13th round. Then he gets Sean Tucker of the Bucks in round 14, second pick of that round. Theo Johnson of the Giants. He is a Giants fan. Ray McLeod, wide receiver of the Falcons. And then he got Niners defense after I told him, strength of schedule and why I draft what I draft. So he got the Niners. And then Young Quay Koo, kicker of the Falcons, who he's gotten for many, many years. I love the draft that Zach did. And Zach is really hard to draft against. So Zach, you're gonna get an A- from me. I'm gonna give you a little A- here. Give you an A-. So I do like what he did for sure. I think he did some good things here. And then Colby had the last pick. He had 12 of 12, which means that he got to pick first when we did the snake thing. So he did 1 through 12. He drafted last of the first round and then first of the second round. So he went with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then he went with Jonathan Taylor. Then the bottom of the third round, Amarian Hampton, running back of the Chargers. Then he got Bo Nix at the top of the fourth round. Evan Engram, his tight end, to go with Bo Nix with the Broncos. Then Roma Dunze at the top of the sixth round. And Roma Dunze, he eluded me this year. I wanted to get him in either one of these leagues. And then he got Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. And then he got Jalen Warren, running back of the Steelers, supposed to be the main guy with Najee Harris not there. Then you got Nick Chubb at the bottom of round 9. Brian Robinson Jr. at the top of round 10, new running back for the Niners. Then you got Juwan Jennings at the bottom of round 11 for the Niners. Hollywood Brown at the top of round 12. Jonnu Smith at the bottom of round 13, tight end for the Steelers. Rico Dowdle, running back for the Panthers, top of 14. Bottom of 15, Brandon Cooks. Top of 16, Giants team quarterback. And then he got Giants defense, and he got Cameron Dicker, the kicker, from the Jets. So a lot of MetLife love here for the Giants fan who has won a recent title in our Captains on Call league. So, yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it. Now, keep in mind, I mean, he had to wait 11 picks, out of that first round. And then, like me, when you went from round 2 to round 3, because we're in a 12-team league in this one, he had to wait 22 picks. Not fun. So, waiting 22 picks, I mean, I think he did pretty good here. I think ultimately he got some good players, stole some guys away from me, which, guys that were on my list, I mean. So I think he made some good moves here. Only got himself 2 quarterbacks. And, looking at his tight end situation with Jonnu Smith and Evan Engram, not bad. Not bad. So I'm going to give Colby a respectful B+. So those are my grades for this league here. Only 1 C, a few B+, some B's, and 4 A-. And Zach, I think I'm going to take that. I am. You know what? You got to trust your gut. I'm going to take that minus away. I'm giving you the only A of this league. Got an A-, an A-, an A-, and an A for Zach. So that's the Captains on Call grades for our 2025 drafts.